This is a Rubik's Cube, and ever since I started 4 months ago, I've gotten better and better. But what if, in the next 5 days, I learned to solve them blindfolded? You see, I was always inspired by the people who took on this challenge. To put on the blindfolds, take it off, and then boom, the cube would magically be solved. I thought it was something only geniuses could do. But what if a normal guy like me learned it? What if, with just enough practice, anyone with a cube could learn to solve it blindfolded? And the first part of learning is to just try it out. So here's the scrambled cube, and now I'm gonna try this out with no strategy at all. I already forgot the cube. So today, I'm gonna figure out how the hell am I gonna do this. And after some research, I found a method. The old Pokemon method. To do this, you need 2 algorithms. One swaps the edges. The other swaps this corner and this corner. I could use the first to create a sequence that solves all the edges, and I could use the second to create a sequence that solves all the corners. And this sequence is much easier to memorize than the entire cube. So now that I understand the method, how am I gonna apply it and perfect it in the next 5 days? Well, here's the game plan. For the first 2 days, I'll only focus on step 1 of the solve, the edges. And with this, I'll also get a general idea for the entire strategy, and I'll memorize and practice until I get it successfully. On day 3, I'd focus on learning how to solve the corners, which is step 2. This step is much harder, but with the foundation from step 1, I'd be able to do it. On days 4 and 5, I'm going to learn memorization techniques so I could store the cube in my head faster and more accurately, while I also practice as much as I can to increase the likelihood of a successful solve. Hopefully, this works. And now, I'm going to start off with day 1. At the beginning of today, I spent my time researching the methods as much as possible, and when I finally understood it, I put it to the test at a small scale, getting a few pieces into the right slot at a time. After practicing all day, I slowly got better and better at solving the edges of the cube. And by the way, thanks to JPerm for teaching me the concept to complete the solve. This journey definitely wouldn't have been possible without his channel, and if you want to learn how to solve a cube blindfolded, make sure to check out his in-depth tutorial on it. One of the hardest parts of this challenge is that if I made a simple mistake, it would mess up the entire cube. Every algorithm, every turn, everything had to be perfect. Something that I had trouble with was planning out the rotations in my head in order to set up the edge swap, but through practicing during days 1 and 2, I slowly got better and better at it. By the end of day 2, I finally got a successful solve for the edges of the cube, which means I got to move on to the corners. But because the corner pieces had 3 figures instead of 2, I found the learning process to be much more difficult. Even though the corners were slightly more confusing, I was quickly able to adapt after learning the edges. And after focusing on the corners, I wanted to transition into putting the 2 steps together and solving the entire cube. With each solve, I got closer and closer to getting it right. Doing this challenge in 5 days actually seemed possible, but there is still one massive issue: memorization. Right now, just preparing for the solve takes half an hour to do. I have to generate the sequence, which is pretty easy, but what takes even longer is memorizing that sequence. So the best way to go about this is to find an efficient memorization technique. So essentially, what I'm going to do is called the lettering scheme. So each sticker location has a letter, and if I can convert that position of the piece to the sticker I want to swap with in letter form, I'd have to remember a lot less. That way, I could convert the amount of time it takes to memorize the cube from half an hour to 10 minutes. Today is day 5, and I've practiced this solve so much. I think I could do it, but I'm not too sure. I've gone close so many times with multiple faces solved at a time, but never quite solved from one simple mistake earlier in the process. Over the past 5 days, I've obtained the skill set to do this, but if I make one wrong turn, I'm gonna fail. I guess all I can do is practice to increase the odds of a successful solve. Hopefully, I can get it by today. At first, I thought I couldn't do it. I thought it'd take years of practice. But through strategizing, practice, research, and memorizing, I still failed. Again and again and again. But after learning from my mistakes, I proved myself wrong. Oh!